So we're about to shoot into a video that is my favorite subject matter of anything that I teach. And that's the subject matter of authenticity. What it means to be an authentic human being and what it means to live an authentic life. What I'm going to suggest in this video is that you may well be an unconscious automaton who thinks that you're in control of your life, but you're actually not in control of your life at all. You're just kind of being run by different factors, whether that's biological drives, social conditioning, ego, different addictions that you have, and a lot of rationalizations that your brain comes up with to protect all of this. It's a pretty deep topic, and it's meant to just shake you and rattle you to your core. I hope this will be the most important video that you watch this week and maybe even this year. Now, I'm going to help you as much as I possibly can in this video, and I think this video could help you as much as anything that you could watch on the entire internet, and I'm happy about that. But at the same time, I'm literally very frustrated. And the reason why is because I feel like you're not getting the help that you need. And I want to get you the help that you need. So something that I've been doing for just about 20 years now is free live events. And I've done these in 265 cities and 75 countries around the world. Now, I haven't done them all myself. I also have a team of people who help me to do this. I've done a lot of them myself. But I've got a team of coaches who I've worked with. I talk to every day. We teach the same things. We're part of a crew. And we just teach these everywhere. I'd love for you to come. Get real life interaction. Get a networking group. Meet people who are like-minded. And feel the energy of this in real life. The seminar that you're about to watch was given completely for free, and this is just a small chunk of it. I mean, these things often go 5 hours, 7 hours. I've even done full 4-day free seminars, believe that or not. They're totally crazy. I just love teaching. I go and I teach and I record it and I put it online. So if you want to be a part of that and you want to actually have that real life interaction, a networking group, meet me personally, and feel the electricity of the room, really have an experience that's better than probably anything that you could do, click the link below right now. Just click it now. Click it now. Okay, because if you don't click it now, while it's on your mind, what's going to happen? You're going to forget, and I'm going to come to your city, and you're going to miss it. And it happens all the time. All the time. I go to cities, and people see me on the street, and they're like, "You are here!" And then they're like, "Could you just do another one, please? Just do another one tomorrow." And I'm like, "We did it. You didn't click when I told you to click." So if you don't want to be one of those people, because it legit will happen to you, and I'll say this, and people are like, "You even said this was going to happen." Okay, so if you want to come and experience this, you want to meet me in person, you want a great networking group, and you want to feel the electricity of being there live and have an amazing experience completely for free, click the link below now. Okay, just do it. Now, in addition to that, even if we're not coming to your city, we do free phone calls. We have a course that we put on for free, completely for free. And there's a person who actually runs it over the phone, okay? I built a system of people who do this over the phone, and they show little videos that I did, and they talk to you and see what you're learning from the videos so that you get that real-life interaction and so that you get the help that you need. What we're going to do at that point is show you how we can change your life completely and really take you to the promised land. So get that free help now. Click the link below. The free call is great, gets amazing reviews, and the free tour that we do, these free seminars, are viewed as absolutely spectacular, have incredible reviews, and I want you to experience it for yourself. So right now, click probably both links. Right now, get some free help on me. You're going to love it. And guess what? This is the point where the video begins. Let's go. All right, my goal is to change your life dramatically in the next half hour, okay? That's my goal, honestly. I want to change your life dramatically in the next half hour. But I can show this to you, but you've also got to go and internalize it. I can teach you, I can lead a horse to water, but you got to drink. So I'll show this to you, but you got to drink, okay? So I'm going to throw a bunch of really weird stuff at you now, okay? Starting now, I'm just going to load you up with a bunch of weird stuff. Like imagine you went and took a bunch of magic mushrooms and the strange conversations that you're having and things like that. I actually don't do that. So instead I do events like this, okay? So I'm going to just hammer you with a bunch of weird stuff, a lot of weird thought experiments, just get you thinking. You don't need to agree with it. I'd encourage you not to agree with anything blindly. Okay, have your own critical thinking. I'm just going to take you through a thought experiment right here. So what you got to do is, first of all, I'm going to ask you, what would happen to you after you die? That's the first question I'm going to lead into this. Where would you go? What would happen to you? Now, I want you to think about this for a minute, right? Have you ever thought about what it would be like to be dead, right? For example, let's say that you had like this physical form that you have now, right? Like, so say for example, that you're in heaven as a simple example. Would you be in your 25-year-old body? Would I have a full head of hair again? Would I have six-pack abs? Would I be 6 feet version of me? What age version of me would I be, right? How would you go to heaven? Just as a thought experiment, right? So think about that for a minute. Now, the next thing I want you to think about is, where does most of your thinking, your mental capital, emotional capital, your focus capital, where does that go on a day-to-day basis? I would predict that it goes into, and I'm going to break this down in a simple way, but you can break it down in other ways. I'm going to predict that it goes into 6 different areas, okay? 6 different areas. Number 1, your ego. How do you look? Am I cool? Am I not cool? What do they think of me? Are they respecting me? How do I stand out? How am I different? How am I the best? How am I the worst? I'm the most worst, the most victim, the most lucky, whatever, right? Separation, right? The ego's all about separation. So that's one of the major areas. Think about how much of your time capital, thought capital, emotional capital just gets hammered into that. Isn't that crazy to think about? Just how many hours you spend. Well, what if you're dead? Oh crap, I'm dead, right? It doesn't matter anymore what any of this, any of this stuff, it literally doesn't matter at all anymore because you're dead. Now, another huge area is biological drives, okay? Biological drive fulfillment. Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I aroused? Am I hungry? Am I sleepy? Am I energetic? And yada, 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 yada. And think about how much of your thought capital, emotional capital, time capital goes into that. Pretty huge amount, right? Well, guess what? Uh-oh, you're dead. Where'd that go now, right? So most of your thinking is in your ego and ego gratification or biological drives, but you're dead. Okay, well, what now? What would you think about? Well, another common one that we have is social conditioning. I'm gonna make a really fine point here that we've seen largely in 2020, and it's super duper crazy. Most of us aren't thinking, is this true? What most of us think is, will I get social acceptance and approval for thinking this? Am I allowed to think this? Can I think this without causing a problem in my life? The majority of people that you see talking in public are just parroting what they think will get them approval, okay? They're just saying things like, oh, I'm gonna look cool if I say this thing, I'll get approval. Very, very dark space to be coming from, absolute groupthink. Why does that happen? A lot of people feel weak. If you feel weak and you feel at risk and you feel afraid, it's hard for you to have critical judgment about anything because your brain won't give you access to it. This is why our society, if we don't want to repeat of 2020, we've got to start teaching people to be strong. As long as the people are dumbed down, as long as the people are weak, as long as the people lack values and are basically just trying to be comfortable and take the path of least resistance, we will have a repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, and it will never end. It will never end. So we've got to treat people to be more intelligent, to be strong, and to look at things like statistics and to think for themselves. Okay, including scrutinizing the actual statistics themselves. So one layer is going to the friggin' statistics. Next layer is even questioning those statistics. Next layer is questioning the people who are questioning the statistics and going down that rabbit hole. But people are afraid to do that because they don't get social approval for doing that. They're afraid of losing social approval. So in order to have something like even a democracy, you need a population that is not walking around in a state of terror, who are not just focusing their thinking on, do I get social props for thinking this? Do I look cool if I think this? Because they're not even capable of questioning things. And, I look at my son. I raise all my sons to be very, very strong. My firstborn son, Vincent, is autistic, so he'll always struggle with this, but, you never know. But my other son, Dylan, and my other son, Tristan, they are very, very good critical thinkers. Really good critical thinkers. Dylan, you say anything to him, and he'll just start laughing in your face. You tell him anything that's not true, he'll point in your face and laugh at you and start throwing pillows at you, okay? My buddy Marcel is probably one of the best hypnotists in the world, maybe the best. I think you should allow yourself to be hypnotized because it actually could help you to benefit from it. But he tried to hypnotize my kid Dylan. Literally, you see Dylan, he pretends to be hypnotized just to mess with him. Then Marcel thinks he hypnotized him. Then he starts laughing in his face going, he's like, you thought I'd go for that? And just starts taking things and throwing them at Marcel right in his own house, okay? And Marcel's one of the best hypnotists in the world who's actually there to help you. You should actually let him help you, okay? Don't do what he did. But literally, why? Because I train Dylan every day. Question everything. Question what you're seeing in the media. Question the agenda. Question what you're being taught. Why are people teaching this? Not to be paranoid, okay? You don't need to be this like counterculture person who's like, I don't believe anything. I think even carrots are secretly bad. There's a secret agenda about the carrots, although perhaps a certain aspect there even might be that. I'm like, wait a minute, that could even be true. But the point is like, okay, like, like all the pesticides and stuff. But my point being is like, okay, like that scares me that's not even okay now. But anyway, so you don't need to, okay, we'll go organic with that, but you see my point. It's like you don't need to just question everything for the sake of it or for being a polar responder or question things that are obviously good. Okay, just because a group of people came together to try to fix something doesn't make it inherently bad, but just be somebody who is aware of what's going on, okay? So social conditioning means that you have to get outside what's known as the Overton Window. What is the Overton Window? The Overton Window is the range of acceptable thinking before you look like such a horrible human being that you become socially ostracized. And so there's good and bad to the Overton window, okay? What would you say is good about the Overton window? Where's some good examples of where we want an Overton window? What would that be?
People don't murder each other.
Yeah, so people don't harm each other. People don't kill each other. People don't attack each other, right? There's an Overton window that if any of you just get up in the middle of this to take over the seminar when it's not your seminar, people will be like, boo, you know, Owen came here. You might even have something good to say. And don't feel afraid to jump up and offer value to it. But if people drove, you know, I think you guys drove here, what, 5 hours or something like that, right? So if you drove here 5 hours and someone jumps up, you guys will be like, hey, this kind of sucks, you know, like, I like what you're saying, but just trade instant with me. Like, I drove here to see Owen, right, as an example. And likewise, if I was at somebody else's seminar, I probably wouldn't jump up either because other people came to see them. So it's good that we have an Overton window to prevent things like harm. And it's also good because then we don't have to have a law about every little thing, right? Like, if we know that there's going to be largely a social ostracization if somebody jumps up in an annoying way, that's good because now we don't have to have 50 million laws like, and you can't jump up, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. So to some degree, the Overton window is good, okay? But what happens is that it also gets to a point where we're not allowed to question things if it's outside of the Overton window. People become afraid to question anything. And then what you get is that people can begin to move the Overton window in ways that suit them. What have we seen in the past 100 years? Well, there's a guy named Adam Curtis. He calls that the century of the self. Has anybody here ever seen Century of the Self by Adam Curtis? Okay, that's like top priority. Go look that up. It's a 4-part documentary by a top-notch documentarian, Adam Curtis. I believe it's from the BBC. Occasionally something good can come out of there on rare occasion. So what you basically have is that Adam Curtis, he calls it Century of the Self, and basically what he explained was I think it was the early 1900s, they wanted to create unlimited consumer demand. And so in order to create unlimited consumer demand, what if you already have a pair of shoes, a pair of boots, a jacket, a laundry machine, a kitchen, you know, a dishwasher, whatever, right? If you've already got that, how do you sell more stuff? How can you sell more stuff to someone who already bought what they need? You've got to change it from needs to wants. And how do you do that? You get the population obsessed with themselves, and you get it to the point where their mental dialogue is not about higher values or having authentic communication with other people, having a real conversation with your neighbor, benefiting your community, helping your family, getting to know each other, caring about each other, loving each other, you know, working on your own character. Take them away from those conversations and make it all about me, 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 it's 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 me. It's me, 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 wait, I'm dead, I died, and now I'm fucking dead. And okay, and it was all pointless because now you're dead. Life was meaningless, now you're dead, it's over, you're dead, but what about me? So, right, so, Century of the Self, okay? Forget about higher values, forget about cultivating your character, forget about your community, forget about your country, me! And so now what you have is an entire country, people just walking down the street on their phone, how many likes do I get? Oh, what do people say about me? How can I become my next thing? Oh, you know, you go ask them for directions, they're just like, me, you know, right? Go to have an honest conversation with them. Hey, how are you doing? Me, okay? To the point that like one of the best ways to meet someone is tease them a little bit. They're like, wait, what does that say about me? Okay? So like literally that's where we're at. So Century of the Self, right? Now what do? We move the Overton window where that's normal. You go to have a real conversation with somebody on the street, that can be viewed as weird. Now we taught you for years how to make that not weird. But no, they couldn't let that be okay, could it? They had to even get rid of that. So we can't even all go meet in the town square and have a conversation. They take over the town square and make it where now we're just all stuck in our phones and only have to talk first on the internet, which 10 years ago would have been weird, right? Or 20 years ago maybe would have been weird. But they moved that Overton window, and that's what they did. They largely do it by creating dummies and strawmans and boogeymen to make an example. They selectively cut them out of context, totally mess up with the message they're saying, find any little joke they say that is everybody knows a joke, and then they make their point, and by the time that person goes to defend themselves, they're not experts in media, they don't know what to do, and too bad, destroyed them. But hey, they took it for the team because we got to move the Overton window in a better, aka more satanic and creepy direction. Ha 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 ha. Now, going from that standpoint, okay, then what they do, what I believe is going to be the next century, is not the century of the self, but the century of safety. And that's what we've realized, right, is that it's for your safety. Stay safe, right? For your safety, for your safety, for your safety, for your safety. I just have your best interest, right? Camouflage, right? It's basically just like freaking camouflage, right? Just like, just for safety, just to make everyone stay safe, right? You don't want people to be safe? Oh, right? And that's what you're going to see. And there's going to be more and more and more because it's a great camouflage loophole. Who wants to be the jerk that's saying not for people to be safe? Who's going to want to be that person? Nobody's going to want to be that person. So that's what we see in the Overton window, is that the Overton window can be moved. And why does it get moved? Because in the last 100 years, when we're obsessed with ourselves and not thinking about truth and not thinking about higher values, and we're weakened and we can't even think critically, then what winds up happening is anything shoved down our face, even something obviously wrong that anyone can see is wrong, still we won't question it. And that's the best part. When you've got all the money in the world and you can't get off on just having a big yacht and a big party, when that doesn't do it for you anymore, you know what does it for you? Control. Control. Okay? Control. Okay? Right? You will do what I want. You will do things that are absurd, that you know are dumb. Do it, piggy. Come on, piggy. Stay safe, piggy. So that's the basic mindset that we're going to see, is essentially safety. It's just everyone stay safe. Okay? Don't you want to stay safe? And no one's going to say anything because there's not enough critical thinking. So even people who point it out now are bad, and you're going to say you're super bad and all the little names that they've got ready. So that is social conditioning. Now, again, what if you go back to that original question? What if you died today? Your ego is gone. Oh, how do I look? Me. You're dead, okay? Bio, shut up. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm aroused. You're dead. Okay, well, guess what? Now you're dead. The Overton window, okay? How you can make yourself look cool by living up to the standards of the establishment. By the way, for anybody here who ever read the Bible, and it doesn't matter if you're Christian or not, what is the main message in the Bible, at least what I took from it? Jesus is the biggest troll of the establishment in history. The greatest troll of all time. The greatest troll of the establishment of all time. You think internet trolls are trolls? The greatest troll of the establishment that will ever live is Jesus Christ. Okay? And you don't have to be Christian. That doesn't matter to me. The greatest troll. Go read the Sermon on the Mount. Literally goes up to the establishment. Hypocrites. Okay? Hypocrite. You hypocrite. Right in the establishment's face. Points out how they are trying to look good within the establishment, but in their heart they are not good. And he says you can do all your little conventions, but if in your heart you're not good, you're gonna burn in hell. And I'll look at you when you get to heaven and you'll say, but Jesus, I did all my little thingies. And you'll say, you never knew me. Now burn. Okay? The greatest troll of the establishment of all time, okay? So, okay, the whole thing of like, just look good in front of everybody else, he flat out says, when you do what's the trendy thing now? I'm doing charity. Look at me. I'm doing charity. And I'm calling out the bad ones. Look at me, right? And he says, when you do charity, you don't show what one hand is doing on the other hand. You just do it privately. Try going and helping somebody without, and I don't even like talking about this, but try going and helping somebody without needing to brag or to post about it or to show everybody, and do it just to do it. You know what you'll find? You get a download of present energy. That's what that means. That is the message in the Sermon on the Mount. If you do it just to show off, he's like, you'll get some validation, but that's all you're gonna get. Okay? That was one of the main ideas. Very, 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 very powerful stuff, right? And that's why the first thing they want to do when the establishment wants to get too heavy-handed, they want to get rid of Christianity. Why? Because they know they're about to get trolled. Because they know that they're telling people that if you do things just for the sake of broadcasting it, that you're going to burn in hell. And he literally says, better to pluck your own eye out than to go into hell. So now you have a group of people that are like, you know what? I don't want to just do what the establishment told me to do. I want to do what is right. I want to do what is good. I want to use my critical judgment, see what is right and wrong, and do the right thing to help the world. Because I don't want to burn in hell. That's the basic message in the Bible. Greatest troll of the establishment of all time. Sermon on the Mount by Jesus Christ. Greatest troll. Literally caused trolling of the establishment. Greatest of all time. The goat troll of the establishment. Read it from that context and look at it. And that's why it terrifies the establishment when they put this crap in front of you and they just go, you want to look cool? You want to look cool? Then do the cool thing. Yeah! even though you know it's stupid, okay? So that's the message there, is go with what's in your heart. It doesn't matter if you believe in that or not. That's irrelevant. I don't care. I'm not here to have a conversation about it. I don't care what you believe or think. I don't care your background. Just take the message, okay? Just like Eckhart Tolle. You don't have to believe in being reincarnated or sitting on a park bench for 2 years. You could just absorb it. Absorb that powerful message. Let that land. Go listen to the Sermon on the Mount on social media. Who's the best reader? I've recommended him before. Yeah, David Suchet. That guy was born to read that book. Like, born to read that book, okay? He's like the Michael Jordan of Bible readers, okay? You gotta read this guy. So, you'll hear it, you're like, damn, that guy really was the Michael Jordan of Bible readers, like crazy. So go look up the Sermon on the Mount. So that is the great trunk. Here's the point. When you're dead, what does it matter what approval you got? Do you really care? You're dead, okay? So the first one, ego. Second one, biological drives. Third one, social conditioning, being told how to think. It's not your thoughts. It's just, am I allowed to think this? Yes, you could think it. Oh, good for you. Okay? Next one. Why don't we go with, the next one I'm going to pick? Success maps. I love that one, success maps. You guys ever heard me talking about success bears? Ever heard me talking about that? Here's what basically happens. Your brain, you already know how to succeed. You already know how to succeed. Okay? But here's what your brain's gonna do. Your brain is gonna give you a diversion from every single thing that could make you win. Because have you ever seen me where I bring somebody up and I say, rate yourself in attractiveness out of 10, and then go to 9, out of 8, out of 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can see how congruent they are at each level, and that gives not perfect, but a general sense of what their belief about themselves is. Okay, so if I bring you up here and you're like, okay, and your most congruent one is my status is 7, I can help you build a business and help you to make millions of dollars. I've done this countless times at this point. By age 41, I've helped many, many people become millionaires. It is unreal. And most of them, and this is what I found out by my mid-30s, most of them self-sabotaged because they didn't have the concept of themselves as being a millionaire. And so here's what the brain does. Your RAS, your selective focus, will begin to weed out anything that is actually good about your situation, and it will overly focus you on the bad about the situation. You'll pick and lock in on things that are true, but that will self-sabotage. So I have not only seen a huge number of people who I've worked with up close become millionaires, but I've seen a whole bunch of them self-sabotage it and ruin it. And when they ruin it, it'll look totally like what they're doing is legit, and it makes a lot of sense, and you're like, oh, this is good, but it's really not, okay? I don't know the truth about this, by the way, and Joe Rogan thinks that this was pretty cool. So this may not be one of those cases. I don't know the background, but at the surface, again, I don't know the background. The David Chappelle thing, where he walked away from all that money at Comedy Central, to me felt like something like that, where he'll sit there and he'll be like, I had to walk away. I broke my values. And it's like, what's the difference between season 3 and season 2, David? You know what I'm saying, right? However, I don't know the background on that, but I thought season 3 was coming out pretty hot, so I don't know what the big deal was. I liked season 3, but apparently it's bad, and he doesn't want anyone to see it, and like all this stuff. I liked it. Well, I kind of think he might have had a success bear, but maybe I'm wrong about that, and honestly, I'm kind of talking on somebody who I don't know the situation, and I'll be upfront about that. So, but whether or not that's true, just think about the general concept of success bearers, okay? That's the next one. So basically, if you go up to someone who's very, very attractive and they like you, you'll probably stop being able to talk. Why? Because you believe that if your success gets too high, that other people could come be violent on you and take it from you, or that you may not understand the nuances of having that degree of success, okay? That's a very common thing. It's biological. It's a vestige of a forgotten age, where if you got too much success, you could get torn down, okay? So that's why you have success bearers. Again, you're dead. If you're dead, why would you need a success bearer? Next one, what I call evolutionary thinking. Most people, they don't audit themselves rationally. They audit themselves as if they're a lawyer fighting for their own case in front of a judge. Okay? Most of us are not really self-aware. That's why you need a coach, by the way. The main reason that we need, the reason why I take a ton of my money every month and get the best coaches in the world on me, even despite of whatever success I've achieved, is because I understand that we rationalize a sort of a case for ourselves that is always in our favor. You need somebody who's gonna shove the pie in your face. You need somebody who's gonna call you out. You need somebody who's gonna show you where you're not thinking about things correctly, okay? So that is what I call evolutionary thinking, or I'd also call that RAS flips. You ever had it where someone maybe cheats on you and they start rationalizing that you deserve to get cheated on? Right, you deserve to get cheated on, right? Because of what you did. That's an RAS flip, okay? If there's like a donut on the table, people rationalize taking the last donut. They make a story in their mind and they justify it, okay? So that's the next one. And for the last one, I'm gonna go with addictions. So for example, we all have addiction to a certain amount of happiness in a day, addiction to a certain amount of sadness in a day. We have addiction to, it could be things like drugs, alcohol, food, habits, and so on and so forth, right? We basically every day, we're like something like, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's kind of like being 90% on autopilot. Basically the same thoughts, words, and actions almost every day, but in different order, and we think that we're thinking it. I've seen it where I could be dating somebody, and they're kind of like in a bad mood a certain amount in the day because they go to work, right? So their work provides a certain amount of stress. And I say, you know what, babe, let's take the day off. Let's go to a spa, let's go to a restaurant, let's go hiking, let's have a great day, let's go to a movie. We go do that, and at the end of the day, if the person who I'm dating is used to crying a little bit at work and then having fun with me, because I removed that negative stimulus, that person will start crying around the end of the day. It's like if they're used to getting a certain amount of negative energy in the day and being sad a certain amount of the day, the body is trying to achieve homeostasis because it's an addiction. And so it's almost like the next level success barrier that you'll basically have, right? Like if you get somebody off the streets who's in like dire straits and like super depressed and negative and you bring them up to a mansion, you don't think you're gonna find them in the bathroom smoking down meth. Of course, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm here now, put down the meth, right? They're going to be, oh, I'm here now, stop arguing. No, I've had it where, I'll bring people from rough situations into like beautiful mansion, overlooking the city, that kind of thing. I've had 3 of them in my life. And in most cases, they're still arguing, they still get in little petty fights, they're still doing the same thing in a different environment. They believe that if they got put into a better situation, they'd be happy. No, they're addicted. This is why people, by the way, that are addicted to business and workaholism, they often believe, oh, well, I'm gonna be stressed for 20 years and then I'm gonna be happy. No, you're not. And the reason you're not is because you're addicting your body to cortisol, you're addicting your body to negative emotions, you're addicting your body to everything bad, and you're rewiring synaptic superhighways in your brain to find the negativity, and you're altering your default in your RES, your selective focus. So it's also an addiction. So let's go through that as well. What would happen if you're dead? Well, if your evolutionary thinking is happening in your body and you're dead, and your addictions are happening in your body and you're dead, what we just described is arguably, debatably, like 99.99999% of your thinking. Okay? That's most of your thinking. So if you died and you didn't have your ego, and you didn't have biological drives, and you didn't have social conditioning, and you didn't have success maps and success barriers, and you didn't have evolutionary thinking, and you didn't have addictions, what would be left? That's it, baby. Right? That's it. That's who you really are. That's who you really are. Okay? That's what would continue. So what I'm going to argue here is that the more that you can come from that place, okay, the more that you can connect to that space, the more that you can connect to who you really are and authentic action that you actually believe in. That's what I'm going to argue here. And I'm going to show you why a little bit. I'm going to present to you, a cool little explanation of this to help you connect to it more deeply, okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah. Do it.
Thank you guys. Okay, so let's say, for example, you think about, okay, why don't we actually go back to that idea of Jesus? We'll go back to that, okay? So it's not a Christian seminar, we're just gonna use that as a metaphor. So basically what you have, well, yeah, because there's people in this room that's probably whose parents like beat them with the Bible. They're like, I tried to escape that, why are you doing, right? I trusted you, right? But let's just use that as an analogy now. Okay, so basically what you have, let's think about that idea of suffering on the cross, right? As an archetype for the human experience, okay, to connect to our higher power. So let's use that as an example. If you have your ego and you want to look cool, you ever had that experience where you go to a club and you take a bunch of rejections and you don't resist it and you get high off of it? You ever had that happen? You get high off of it. It's a weird feeling. You get high off of it. It's like if you can just go and do some approaches and you basically accept that you're going to be rejected. You ever tried just running down the street with your shirt off, just yelling? You will get a high off of that beyond anything that you've ever seen in your life. You will be more high off that than anything you might have ever done your whole life, okay? Seriously, because what you're doing is you're letting go. You're consciously letting go. Meanwhile, when your ego gets what it wants, it's kind of like this adrenaline dopamine kick, but it's not the high that you get when you get rejected and accepted. It's not the high that you get when you run down the street with your shirt off going wild. Don't get yourself in trouble, but you know my point, okay? Just do it within the boundary and, local laws and stuff, but you see my point? So from that standpoint, you get a high off of that. Connect to that high. Likewise, biological drives. You ever done things like a sauna and a cold plunge? Where you're like sweating, like you ever go into like a Russian banya, you're sweating and sweating and sweating, right? And you get a high off of it. And if you jump in a cold plunge after that where you're freezing and you instead of trying to control everything, you release, right? Just like with the rejections, just like with riding down the street with your shirt off. You're not trying to control everything. It's not your control muscle, your release muscle. Go try that for a minute, watch what happens. Again, you'll get a high off of it. People come with me to Russian banya, and I don't smoke weed myself, they all will say, this is just like when I smoke weed. You'll get an actual natural high off of it. Why? Because you're in your release muscle. How about things like food fasting? Going to release muscle. So again, when we deny the body and we deny the biological drives, in many ways we connect to that higher power, okay? Likewise, social conditioning. Thinking outside the Overton window. Not just being, path of least resistance, but thinking outside the Overton window. Again, we get a high off of it. Now, I get it, right? Look, everybody, look what I'm doing. I'm following the narrative. I'm a good little puppy. Look at me, right? But that's not the same high as when you think for yourself. There's a high that you get when you think for yourself. That doesn't mean that the Overton window is usually largely good, but try just getting outside of it. You'll get a high off of it. Now, how about things like success bearers? You know, if you think that you're a 7, try going and meeting people that are a 10. Try going into parties that intimidate you and embrace it and allow yourself to do it. Again, you will get a high off of it. Break your success bearer, you'll get a high off of it. Likewise, evolutionary thinking. You're your own lawyer for yourself. There's something that Stephen Covey talks about. What's he say? Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Say that with me. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Let's say that very loud. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Excellent. So instead of going, me, 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 right? Instead of doing that, okay, right? Okay, instead of doing that, me, okay? Seek first to understand, then to be understood. There's a powerful passage from Stephen Covey, who died recently. He's an amazing guy, very, very high vibration guy. He said, he was on a subway, and these kids were screaming, and they're going crazy, and they're being loud. He said, hey, can you tell your kids to shut up? And the mother said, hey, their father died a month ago. I haven't seen them playing in a month, and I let them do it. That's called seek first to understand, then to be understood, okay? To really put yourself in somebody else's position. What you're doing is you're saying to yourself, I get it, they're in pain. They have their own limited paradigm. I'm gonna think outside myself. That's the idea of seek first to understand, then to be understood. Getting out it, you don't just need to be this lawyer just for yourself. That's real empathy, by the way, not the fake empathy of the establishment, the fake lying empathy of the establishment. The one that they talk about in Sermon on the Mount. Real empathy, thinking for yourself, real empathy. Not fake empathy as a camouflage for authoritarianism. Now, continuing from there, okay, fake lying empathy. Now, okay, and again though, somebody has to be able to see through their own eyes and not be afraid to use their brain. Okay, so using your brain is a high, not just being your own advocate and actually thinking outside yourself is a high. Same thing with things like addictions. When you break an addiction, you'll get a high from it. You know, when you drink that chocolate milkshake, it feels good, but you're going unconscious. Deprive yourself. That deprivation has a high. So it's that high of a release muscle, okay? It's that high of releasing. That is who you are when you're dead. So you want to think of it like you have yourself that's in your physical body, and then you have the self that is your infinite self, your spiritual self, your higher self. And think about what would happen after you die. Now, if you think about it, people are so afraid of dying. And yet, why is that? Because they're completely identified with there's many reasons, but in part, it is because they are completely identified with those things that we talked about earlier, right? So what happens is, there's a terror or a fear. And remember how we said this is going to be the century of safety? The more that you can put people in that fear state and control them and disconnect them from their infinite nature, the more that you can do that to them and keep them asleep, the more that you can control them, and the more that you can create a living hell on earth. And how far can that Overton window be moved? How far can it be moved? Can it be moved to where if you don't go in a self-driving car and you just want to drive your own car, you're viewed as a killer? Because sometimes human-driven cars create death. When is that going to happen? How long are we going to be allowed to drive cars for? Are you going to be allowed to have a childbirth? Maybe some of you here would like to have a childbirth, a natural one. But what happens when you can make a safer baby in the baby pod? Are you going to be allowed to have a baby? You archaic, brutish cave person having a baby, not in a pod, so dangerous. Can they do that? They're already doing things like this. What if you're just somebody who I didn't get sick for 10 years, right? I read every book about nutrition that I could and got really into that. What if you just would like to focus on that instead of having a big corporation telling you how to do it? You going to be allowed to do that? Where does this end? Okay, where does this end? Okay, we're all going to die. Okay, these bodies that we're in are all going to die. And I think part of being a spiritual person is to have a love for life and to want to protect life. But where does it get to the point where that protection of life becomes demonic? Where does that get to the point where the protection of life is intertwined with denying people from their infinite self? When does it get to the point that you are going to be told that you've got to plug your brain into a Neuralink or maybe into a cloud when you die? What if you would rather just live your life and have it have a beginning, a middle, and an end on this earth, and you want to go be with God, and you don't want to have your cloud brain stuck here on this earth? But they're going to scare you. So where does this end? Okay? And what I'd urge any of you to do is don't take my opinion. I'm just some schmuck. But what you can do is back up from the situation a little bit and start seeing what's going on and wake up. Say that with me. Wake up. Say it again. Wake up. Say it again. Wake up. Okay? Do this with me right now. Okay? Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Do this with me. A little exercise here. Everybody will do it like how they do it in the East. Go, Om. Now go, again, Om. Just one more time. Om. Louder. And break out. Ah! Now, imagine that you died and all of those biological drives that you cared about were gone. All that ego that you cared about is gone because you're dead. Social conditioning, having to live up to what the group said, doesn't matter anymore because you're dead. Any of those addictions that you had that ran you like a puppet, you're dead. Being your own little advocate, not thinking of others, stuck in some little success fear. Me. You're dead. And everything that you left behind is now gone. There's no second chances. You're floating away. What awareness do you have now about your life and how you would have lived it and the fear that you would have had? Would you be in the century of safety, century of the self? What awareness do you have now? But you can choose to come back here. You can choose to come back. Would you come back here and choose life? Would you choose life? Now go. Now one last time. Om. Now look at each other in the eyes and send love to the people beside you. Now give each other a hug. Now have a seat, guys, have a seat. What that is meant to represent, that's a metaphor for the screaming and the pain of life, but also the infinite, okay? Om in the infinite, and the screaming and pain of life, and connecting to that place that you are beyond this. So it's through that, again, the cross as an archetype for suffering, connecting to that conscious release, accepting the suffering, and not being run from those addictions like a puppet, but beginning to cultivate that higher self that you have and really cultivating something that will go beyond this moment here and into who knows what. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to keep you here. They want you here in this pit. Think of yourself like a balloon that's naturally meant to go up, but it's like these like parasitic wires being stuck in you, and you're shooting more air into the balloon to go up, when what you need to do is snip, 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 right? Like I gave you 6 of them there. Snip, 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 snip. Let those go and ask yourself what this place is, what you're doing here, and who are you beyond. And try coming from that place, okay? And get familiar with that place. That is what would change how the next century that we would have is defined. Okay, I love you guys very much. Could you guys give yourselves a hand? That was really a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. Good, let it land. Good. Very good. Could you guys say goodbye to the people on YouTube? Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you soon. Hope you enjoyed it.